Why did the chicken cross the road? To bring Jalen Ramsey his cold medicine. Duh.
Hey guys, it's Kristin. I'm back with week 4 of our fantasy stardoms and situms. First of all, you got to know that the bye weeks this week, the Jets and the 49ers are both on bye weeks. So if you have any guys on these teams, make sure you take them out of your lineup immediately. I know a lot of guys played James White last week and he was out, so I actually got a lot of zeros, not on my teams, but the guys they played against. So let's go, quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers, you got to start Phillip Rivers. Anyone playing Miami, you got to start. But Phillip Rivers is quietly the third in yards right now in quarterbacks. He's got 944 yards. He's your number 6 quarterback this week. Miami's allowed 10 touchdowns, and they're giving up 10.3 yards per attempt. Phillip Rivers is a must start. Dak is an obvious one. If you have Dak, you're starting him, but I think he's going to have a really good game against the Saints this week. They are giving up the most points to opposing quarterbacks. Their secondary, I thought it was going to be awesome, and they haven't really performed this week. So Dak at the Saints. Daniel Jones, I told you not to start him. I have to be cautious with a rookie we've never seen, and he had a monster game against the Bucs with those 2 rushing touchdowns, and I really like Daniel Jones against Washington this week. I think he's going to have another big game, and Washington's giving up over 24 points to the quarterback. So you want to start Daniel Jones. Kyler Murray, I'm still high on Kyler Murray. Him and Larry Fitzgerald have found a great chemistry. Seattle is not that Legion of Boom that we've seen in the past, so you want to start Kyler Murray. Tom Brady, you can start him. He's your number 11 quarterback. If you have someone like a Jared Goff or a Russell Wilson on the bench, I would put them in over Tom Brady this week. I'm really iffy with this New England Buffalo Bills game. And I'm also sitting Josh Allen. I've been high on him the last couple of weeks, but that New England defense has not given up a touchdown to offenses yet. They have 2 defensive touchdowns against the Jets, but Josh Allen, stay away from him and Tom Brady if you can. Oh, Baker, man. Had to tell you to bench him last week. You're benching him again at Baltimore. 5 interceptions. He's only completing about 57% of his passes. He's scored less than 22 quarterbacks in fantasy this year. So until Baker starts showing us some stuff and start feeling dangerous again, you got to sit Baker. Gardner Minshew also had a big game last week, but at Denver, opposing quarterbacks going back to last year have scored less than 15 points in Mile High Stadium. Stay away from Gardner Minshew. Other guys that I'm benching, obvious guys, Mitchell Trubisky, why is he still on your roster? Kirk Cousins at Chicago, you're not playing him. And I think, I'm sorry, Eric, Carson Wentz at Green Bay, I think it's going to be a bust. Green Bay's got a great defense this year, and I think Carson's going to have a really tough time at Green Bay in Lambeau Field. So those are your quarterbacks. Good luck. All right, guys, on to your running backs. And we all on the sports arena hate admitting when Eric's right, but Eric was right. Austin Eckler is actually good in this offense. Austin Eckler is a must start. I know you're probably starting him as your RB1, but against Miami, Austin Eckler is going to have a big, big game. I also think Justin Jackson, if you need a flex position or one of these sleeper guys, you need someone off the waiver wire, Miami gave up 100-yard games to both Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, so that duo running back there is going to be really good in Miami. Plus, I think the Chargers are going to go up big in the first half, so they're going to be running the ball a lot. They're going to want to give Eckler a little bit of a break, so Justin Jackson is a sleeper. Another sleeper this week, if you didn't hit that waiver wire and pick up Wayne Gallman on the Giants, you're an idiot. Saquon's out for 4 to 8 weeks, probably longer to the 6 to 8 week mark here, so Wayne Gallman's going to have a big game. He's projected 9.4, but I think he's going to exceed those projections. Josh Jacobs, I told you to bench him last week, and he did not have a great game, but I think he's recovering a little bit better. He's in Indianapolis. They are giving up, they're the 5th worst against opposing running backs in fantasy. They're giving up 5.5 yards per run, and there's no Darius Leonard, so I think that Josh Jacobs is going to have a strong game in Indianapolis. James Conner has been such a disappointment. The guy's only had 97 rush yards this year, 70 receiving yards. I told you to bench him last week if you can, but I think he is a must start at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's the 2nd worst at stopping the run, and they're giving up the most points to opposing running backs. So you definitely want to start James Conner. Miles Sanders, he finally went off for Philly last week, and I think he's going to have a nice game at Green Bay. Green Bay's giving up 131 yards to opposing running backs. So I think that if you need him in a flex position, I think he's either an RB2 or a flex guy for you. Frank Gore, told you to start him last week. This week he's on your bench. I told you I'm staying away from this New England game. The Pats have not allowed a touchdown, and they've only allowed 110 rush yards this entire season in all 3 games. Aaron Jones, he's got an injured shoulder. He had a good game last week, but he banged up that shoulder, and he's going against that top 5 Philly run defense. If you can afford to sit Aaron Jones, I would. Also, if you can afford to sit either Sony Michel or David Montgomery. Sony Michel has not been this guy that we thought he was going to be. He's only averaging 2.4 yards per carry, and he's sharing time with Burkhead and White right now. So Sony Michel, if you can sit him. And David Montgomery against Minnesota. He showed a little bit of flashes last week, but I think Minnesota is been really good at stopping the run, and I think if you can sit David Montgomery and put someone else in there, maybe one of these sleeper guys, I think you have a better chance. So those are your running backs.
Hold up! Thank you.
Guys, we're on to the receivers now, and I got to start with my guy from the Ohio State University. Terry McLaurin has been killing it for Washington. Even on that crummy Washington team, he has had 4 touchdowns in 3 games. He's off to a great start, and you're starting him against that bad New York Giants secondary. He's projected 9.7. I think he's going to exceed that a lot. So far this year, I don't know who's making these projections. I look at a lot of experts, fantasypros.com. They rate all the experts here, but he's exceeded his projections by 25.7 points total this year so far. So he's exceeding every week. Terry McLaurin is a guy you must start this week as a wide receiver 1. Randall Cobb, I said last week to start him, and I'm sorry if he did, and he didn't do a lot for you, but I think he really is going to do it in New Orleans this week. New Orleans is giving up a lot of points to that slot receiver, and Marshawn Lattimore is going to be all over Amari Cooper. So I think Dak's going to be looking for Randall Cobb this week. So expect Randall Cobb to have a good game in New Orleans. Sterling Shepard, he's back from the concussion. Great game last week against Tampa. No Saquon, so I think that they're going to be throwing a lot to him. Him and Daniel Jones have that great chemistry. Danny Dimes, never came up with that name. But Washington gave up 3 touchdowns to Mitchell Trubisky and Taylor Gabriel last week. So look for Sterling Shepard to have a good game. And Tyler Boyd was on the sit-em last week. He's on the start-em this week against that Pittsburgh secondary. They're allowing over 36 points total to slot receivers this year. So you want to start those guys. Mike Evans had an outstanding game last week. I saw he put up 45 points against me in one of my leagues. If you can afford to sit Mike Evans, I would start like a Tyrell Williams over him. That Rams defense, they're going across the country to LA against that Rams defense. They're second against the opposing wide receivers. Aqib Talib will be all over him. Mike Evans, sit him if you can. DK Metcalf, he's been having a good time, been catching passes out there, but Arizona has been giving up a lot of rush yards, so look for Chris Carson to have the big game here. When they do throw it, I think it's going to be to Lockett or Disley, so DK Metcalf is a guy you want to sit. I'm also sitting Will Fuller and Kenny Stills versus Carolina. Surprisingly, Carolina is second in opposing yards per pass, which is only 5.3 yards. They're second behind New England. So the only receiver on Houston I like this week is DeAndre Hopkins. You can afford it. You can sit Fuller and you can sit Stills. Stephon Diggs, man. I don't know what's going on. He was so good last year. Adam Thielen is obviously becoming Kirk Cousins' favorite. Stephon Diggs is only getting 4 targets per game right now, and then that run-first, run-heavy offense with Dalvin Cook. So Stephon Diggs, I got 2 number 1 wide receivers on here sitting, guys, but if you can pick up some of these other guys out the waiver wire, DJ Chark, I told you about a while ago, he's put up over 10 points for me each game this year. So, and I'm staying away from any New England receiver against that Bills defense and any Bills receiver against that New England defense. I'm telling you guys, keep your fantasy studs from this game out of there. Put them on the bench because I think it's going to be a defensive battle up in Buffalo this weekend. All right, guys, we're on to your tight ends now. Now, in our preseason show, I talked about this guy, Darren Waller. He's come back from addiction issues, and he is having a great season in that Oakland offense there. Same offense that Jared Cook had a great season in. Darren Waller's got 26 receptions on 29 targets, and the Colts are the 5th worst against opposing tight ends. Darren Waller has been a beast this season. If you have him, he is your tight end 1 all the time, except for that bye week. Greg Olsen, I told you to start him last week. Greg Olsen had a monster week last week. I'm starting Greg Olsen against Houston. Mark Andrews, him and Lamar have been on point. They've been together, but against Kansas City, he only had about 4 points last week. So, but I'm putting him back on my starting roster against Cleveland. Cleveland's got that banged up secondary. They're in Baltimore. I have faith in Mark Andrews this week. And my favorite one this week is Will Disley against Arizona. Arizona's giving up 30 points per game to tight ends. That's where Greg Olsen was last week. That's where Will Disley is this week. So Will Disley on the Seahawks, you want to start him against those Cardinals. Jared Cook, I mentioned him earlier. Where have you been all season? I was so excited about him and Drew Brees in New Orleans. He's only averaging 4 targets a game. I don't know if him and Teddy Bridgewater will have a little bit more chemistry, but until he proves me something, I'm keeping Jared Cook, especially versus Dallas on my bench. O.J. Howard. I'm looking at him, reading articles, people are saying start him, people are saying sit him. He's another guy who hasn't proved to me. I've started him, he got me 0 points one week. This guy, until him and Jameis get on the same page at the Rams across the country, I'm keeping O.J. Howard on my bench. Again, some other guys you want to keep on your bench, I've mentioned before. Trey Burton with that quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. Trey Burton, I don't know if he's been hindered by this injury or what, but he's on your bench. Kyle Rudolph's done nothing this year. Again, the quarterback, Kirk Cousins. See the correlation, guys? And Jason Witten, Jimmy Graham, the old guys, you want to keep them on your bench this week. I don't think they're going to have good weeks this week. All right, guys, defenses. Defenses is always pretty much the easiest one, but I was shocked this week when I saw that like 40,000 Yahoo leagues dropped the Bills defense. I know they're going up against New England, but I am going to bench the Bills this week, but I'm not going to drop them off my roster because I think the Bills are going to be really good going forward. They have a top 5 or 6 defense right now, so you definitely want to keep the Bills on your roster, but you probably want to sit them. Your number one defense this week, no surprise, the LA Chargers at Miami. Miami's just a mess. LA's got a great defense already, and it's going to be even better in Miami. To round out your top 5, you have the Chargers, the Rams, the Bears, obviously, the Patriots, and the Baltimore Ravens. So, defenses they're pretty easy to go with here, but I was really high on Cleveland's defense earlier in this year. I drafted them in a lot of my leagues. That's my homer self being an idiot. But Cleveland, I'm sitting them. They have too many injuries right now. They're going against Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram. They're going to probably give up a lot of points. So if you can sit Cleveland, sit the Saints. The Saints have given up a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns as well. And another kind of surprise along with the Bills, the Cowboys. I'm sitting the Cowboys this week because the Saints, I just think, can put up some points against those Cowboys at home in the Dome there. So if you can sit the Saints, go ahead and sit the Saints this week.
Hey, join us every Sunday right here at Rafferty's from noon to 1 for the best pregame show in Florida, Sports Arena.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Sports Arena on YouTube. If you like this, you want to see more of this, get more content, insight, please be sure to like and subscribe to our page. And you can always follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and go to our website, www.thesportsarena1.com.